The 2024 VA benefit report is out, and it reviews an absolute megaton of information regarding all things VA benefits. So I'm going to show you the top 3 claims per body system, but there is so much more information on this report that you can dive into. The reason why it's important to understand the top 3 disabilities in each body system is because we probably all suffer from the same stuff. If you really want to get into the weeds, there are top disabilities per era. So like the Vietnam era and the Gulf War era are also shown. So if you fall into those categories, even peacetime era, you might want to take a look at what your peers are claiming and are being approved for. So jumping straight into this report, the 3 most prevalent service-connected disabilities by body system. I'm going to go over this relatively quick. So there are multiple rating codes, okay, within all of these major body systems. So limitation of flexion and knee, there are multiple diagnostic codes on 38 CFR that it can be rated at. But the number one claim for musculoskeletal conditions are knee conditions, which I thought it was going to be lower back or neck pain or lumbar and cervical strain, but it's not. Knees are number one at 1.8 million disabilities for knees. I wonder if they are counting each knee as one or if the 1.8 million is both. It's probably each knee is one. So that would actually make sense on why that's very common. Looking at neurological paralysis of the sciatic nerve, these two, the lumbar strain and the sciatic nerve, are probably heavily correlated and caused by each other. Obviously, that makes sense. If you have something happening in your lower back, you probably got some sciatic nerve damage, which is also in your lower back. Migraines, a very common claim that is commonly rated at 0%. Looking at auditory, tinnitus, yes, tinnitus is number 1. Hearing loss is number 2. Everyone knows that tinnitus is changing. What cracks me up about the tinnitus change is people didn't read the proposed changes, okay? And in my opinion, how I'm reading it is these changes are pretty good, actually. And so the VA rates symptoms, okay? They will find a diagnostic code for that symptom. And in the proposed changes, and I'll have a video on this linked in the pinned comments, but tinnitus as a symptom could be rated under hearing loss, which is 6100 at 10%. Short answer, it's not going away. Stop freaking out. Don't let a YouTube thumbnail tell you it's going away, okay? There are skin conditions, and by the way, hearing loss is still presumptive within the 1 year, so the tinnitus presumptive doesn't change either. Looking at skin conditions, definitely most commonly rated at 0%, especially for scars. But looking at burns and other skin conditions like eczema or acne can absolutely be rated at 10, 30, and I've seen actually some 60% ratings for eczema. Mental health is going to be the big mamma jamma at PTSD here. Very common. Looking at MDD and chronic adjustment disorder, all wrote under the same diagnostic codes. And look at this. The total number of these 3 is just under 2 mil, and all mental health disabilities is 2.5 mil. So the overwhelming majority of these mental health disabilities are these 3 right here: PTSD, MDD, and then chronic adjustment disorder. Looking at respiratory conditions, and obviously the PACT Act has something to do with this. Sleep apnea, this is a change that does suck. Okay, this is not in your favor whatsoever, especially if you are a new veteran submitting a new claim for sleep apnea. That part sucks. Yeah, there's really nothing else to say about that. Allergic rhinitis and sinusitis, definitely, streamlined by the PACT Act. Then it gets into the digestive system, IBS, also PACT Act, little known fact there. Hiatal hernia, very common to be rated together. And then hemorrhoids. There are cardiovascular diseases that are commonly claimed. There's this word that's commonly claimed. I'm not even going to try for it, right? But like SMCKs, that's where that would go. And then there's that word like diabetes, hypothyroidism, and you really see that in your older Vietnam era veterans. I also want to show you I'm sorry, I missed some. The eyes, very commonly rated at 0%, right? gynecological. I'm sure I butchered that right, but hey, FSAD, that is the female version of SMCK. Can't forget about our female veterans at all. Dental conditions, solid. Claiming a dental condition opens the avenue up for dental care. And then anemia, common claim, and then infection, immune, and nutrition, like chronic fatigue syndrome, right? Very, very prevalent in the Desert Shield, Desert Storm era veterans. Now, what I want to show you is actually these disabilities by era, and you can kind of compare with your peers what you have, or what, this might plant a seed on what you may want to claim if this applies to you. Let me find the body system here. Service-connected disabilities by period of service. Okay, here we go. So World War II, I'm just going to skip this one, and Korean, okay? There's probably not that many World War II and Korean vets on YouTube. If that is you, click the link below in the comments. You can check this out. So looking at Vietnam era, tinnitus, number 1. PTSD, number 3. Very, very common, right? Specific to Vietnam era, I think you'll find a lot of diabetes, okay? And then hypertensive vascular diseases, streamlined by the PACT Act there. The Gulf War era, this is going to apply to most veterans that watch this channel. Tinnitus, again, number 1. So tinnitus for Vietnam era and Gulf War era seems to be the top claim, right? We have the knee conditions as number 2. Lumbar or cervical strain, lower back or neck pain. PTSD, it turns out when you have a 20-plus year war, service members are going to have PTSD. Go figure, right? Paralysis of the sciatic nerve. It's not just paralysis. There are other nerve conditions that are roped in with that, but that's definitely correlated with this piece right here. The arm, the ankle, migraines, scars, burns, and then scars in general. And then looking at peacetime, okay, again, tinnitus reigns as number 1 in hearing loss. So was it tinnitus and hearing loss? Both number 2? Okay, so Vietnam era is tinnitus and hearing loss. And then peacetime era was also tinnitus and hearing loss. You'll have paralysis of the sciatic nerve. This one is weird to me because we don't see the lumbar strain above that, okay? So there's an inverse relationship here. I would definitely like more data on that one. But the knees, the scars, there's the back, burns, mental health, okay, even in peacetime, yes, PTSD does occur. You can't forget about traumatic events that happen during training, right? You definitely can't forget about military sexual traumas, right? Which is that sucks, okay? But limitation of the ankle, then impairment of the knee. There is so much information covered in here, and this is just disability. They have this same format for education and other benefits, so if you're interested in that, check it out. But there is tons and tons and tons of data that you can look at here and kind of plant some seeds of saying, hey, did I claim what my peers are claiming? Because it's pretty common that we're all going to have relatively the same disabilities, okay? Now, you still need evidence for those. You still need the big 3, which is the in-service event, the current diagnosis, and the Nexus, okay? That is still going to be required for every single claim. In-service event, evidence from service. Something happened in service to cause that condition, or that condition manifested itself in service. Ideally, we want medical evidence from health assessments, right? Pre or post-deployment health assessments, annual health assessments, or an exit exam. Those are your most common in-service events. But it could also be like safety reports from a training accident, stuff like that. A current diagnosis is required for every single claim. Stop submitting claims without a current diagnosis, or at a minimum, we want to submit a claim with documented symptoms that would lead an examiner to give a current diagnosis. And then 3, the most important, is the Nexus, which is a CMP examiner linking your current diagnosis to your in-service event, therefore making it service connected, right? Within at least as likely as not. That's the bare minimum that we want. With those big 3, that is how veterans get claims service connected.